Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're looking at an interesting question that came in about XRP.
Okay,
Ripple,
yeah,
one of our listeners, is thinking about maybe investing like $1,000 and wants to know, is this a good long-term investment?
right.
Well, lucky for them, we found this article from The Motley Fool, and it was published February 13th, 2025, so pretty recent.
Very recent.
And they are arguing exactly that XRP is a good buy and hold investment. So let's dive in and see what they have to say.
Yeah, I mean, what strikes me right away is this whole buy and hold strategy from the Motley Fool,
Yeah.
because they're not usually known for, chasing those flashy get-rich-quick investments, right?
Right.
So when they suggest digging in for the long haul with XRP, definitely makes me want to learn more.
Yeah, it got my attention too. I mean, we're talking about XRP getting attention from not just, everyday investors like yourself, but also these giants, Bank of America, American Express. What is it about XRP that has these big players so intrigued?
Well, the key is understanding what XRP is actually trying to do,
Yeah.
which is kind of revolutionize how money moves around the world, specifically global money transfers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're aiming to make the old, slow system
Mm-hmm.
faster, cheaper.
Right, because, we've all used, or had the headaches of international transfers, waiting forever, paying those ridiculous fees. So is XRP claiming to be the solution to all that?
Exactly. Think about SWIFT, the system that banks use right now. I mean,
Mhm.
it can take up to like 5 business days for a transfer, and fees can be over $30.
Mm.
XRP wants to do those same transfers in like minutes for less than the penny.
Okay, that's a huge EE difference, so no wonder these big banks are taking notice. But honestly, why should I care? How does that translate to a good investment for, someone like me?
That's where the potential for big returns comes in. If XRP really does become like the main way that we move money internationally, the value could absolutely skyrocket. Getting in early,
Mhm.
even with $1,000, could mean some really impressive returns down the line. At least that's what the Motley Fool is suggesting. But, and this is super important, it's a long game. The crypto world is volatile. There will be ups and downs along the way.
All right, so the bet is that XRP disrupts this whole financial system with a faster, cheaper way to move money. And those who get in early could see some of those rewards. But that begs the question, how likely is that to actually happen?
That's what we're here to unpack. The Motley Fool article lays out 3 key reasons why they believe XRP can succeed. And I think it's worth taking a closer look at each one.
Let's do it. What's that first reason they give?
The first one they talk about is the network of companies and organizations already using XRP. This is absolutely crucial because for XRP to really take off, it needs wide adoption. The more banks and financial institutions using it, the more valuable it becomes.
Okay, that makes sense. So who are some of these big names jumping on the XRP bandwagon?
They mention some heavy hitters in the article. We're talking Banco Santander, Bank of America, even American Express. And it's not just, small-scale tests. They're actually using XRP for real transactions.
Wow, so these are some seriously big players. And I have to imagine when institutions like that get involved, it gives a lot of credibility to the whole project.
Absolutely. It shows that XRP isn't just some, theoretical idea floating around. It's being put to work in the real world by some of the biggest names in finance. But it's not just about the quantity of users. It's also about the why.
Oh, interesting. What do you mean by the why?
Well, why are these specific companies choosing to use XRP?
Yeah.
Think about the types of institutions we're talking about here. Banco Santander, huge in international banking. American Express, all about moving money across borders for payments. These companies are dealing with the exact problems that XRP aims to solve, speed and cost. They're not just hopping on a trend. They're looking for real solutions to their business needs.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not just that someone is using XRP, it's who is using it and why that matters. And that gives us a little glimpse into how XRP could actually reshape, the global financial landscape.
Exactly. And that's why the Motley Fool sees this growing network as like a major factor in XRP's potential success. But of course, there's another big elephant in the room when it comes to cryptocurrency.
Yeah, you mean the whole regulatory landscape. Isn't that still a bit of a Wild West out there?
It is. And that brings us to the Motley Fool's second point. They acknowledge that XRP has had its share of regulatory scrutiny. And they even mention that ongoing SEC lawsuit, claiming XRP is an unregistered security.
Right. Yeah, that lawsuit has definitely cast a shadow of doubt over XRP. What's the Motley Fool's take on how that could play out?
Well, they point out that things might be changing, particularly under this new presidential administration. There seems to be a shift towards a more open stance on crypto in general. The article even mentions Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple's founder, meeting with the president and potentially joining a cryptocurrency advisory council.
Whoa, okay, so that's pretty huge. If the government starts to view crypto as a legitimate part of the, financial system, that could be a major boost for XRP.
Right. It suggests a more collaborative approach.
Yeah.
Rather than just trying to shut it all down. And it's not just the U.S. The Motley Fool highlights that places like Japan, the UAE, Singapore are already embracing XRP and blockchain technology.
So even if the U.S. drags its feet, XRP is still, making progress on the global stage. But even with growing adoption and a potentially, friendlier regulatory environment, is the technology really that revolutionary?
That leads us to the Motley Fool's third reason, XRP's technological advantage. As we discussed earlier, SWIFT, the current system is slow, expensive, and honestly, pretty outdated.
Right, those 5-day transfer times and those hefty fees are definitely a pain.
Exactly. XRP, on the other hand, uses blockchain technology to offer near-instant transactions with tiny fees. We're talking settlements in minutes for less than a penny.
Okay, so it's not just about, saving a few bucks here and there. It's about completely changing how money moves around the world. Is that what the Motley Fool is banking on?
Precisely. They believe that this technological superiority could allow XRP to disrupt and eventually replace SWIFT, which would obviously send its value sky high.
Right.
But of course, it's not quite that simple.
Right. There have to be some potential downsides or challenges. What does the Motley Fool have to say about that?
Well, while they focus on the positives in this article, there are a few implicit points that I think smart investors need to consider, like the fact that the cryptocurrency market can be really volatile.
Right.
I mean, we've all seen those crazy price swings.
Right.
And XRP isn't immune to that.
So even though the Motley Fool is suggesting this long-term strategy, there's still a chance of, losing money in the short term.
Absolutely. And it's not just about market sentiment either. There are other factors at play here.
Right.
Regulatory changes, new technologies popping up, even like the overall global economy can impact things.
Right.
And remember that SEC lawsuit we talked about? Even if the overall mood towards crypto is improving, that case is still kind of hanging over XRP's head.
So yeah, regulatory uncertainty is a big one. What about competition? Are there other cryptocurrencies out there trying to do the same thing as XRP?
That's another key point. I mean, the crypto world is so dynamic. New projects are popping up all the time. And some of them are definitely targeting that same cross-border payment space as XRP.
Right.
So there's always a chance that something else comes along with even better technology or features.
So XRP isn't guaranteed to win this race. They have to constantly innovate and, stay ahead of the game. What about the big banks themselves? Couldn't they just create their own solutions using blockchain technology?
That's a really interesting question. And it's something that the Motley Fool doesn't really address directly in this article. But the financial world is full of powerful players. And they're not just going to sit back and let crypto disrupt everything without putting up a fight.
Right.
We've already seen some central banks experimenting with their own digital currencies.
Wow, so XRP could face competition, not just from other cryptocurrencies, but from the very institutions they're trying to partner with. That adds a whole new layer of complexity.
It definitely does. And then there's the whole issue of technological vulnerabilities. I mean, blockchain is generally considered very secure, but no system is perfect.
Right.
There's always a risk of bugs, hacks, or other unforeseen technical issues that could impact XRP.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of, this new technology. But it's crucial to remember that things can and do go wrong, especially when we're talking about something as important as finance.
Absolutely. And then there's the human factor, too. Let's face it, crypto is still a pretty complex space for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Investors can make mistakes, fall victim to scams, or simply mismanage their investments.
So education is key. You really have to do your research, understand the risks involved, and approach this whole thing with caution. Okay, so we've got volatility, regulatory uncertainty, competition, technological risks, and the always present possibility of, human error. That's quite a list.
It is. But let's not forget that the Motley Fool is still recommending XRP as a long-term investment.
Right.
So how do we weigh those potential rewards against all these risks?
It's $1 million question. So if I'm our listener and I'm hearing all this, what should I be thinking? Should I still consider putting that $1,000 into XRP? Or is it just too risky?
I think the Motley Fool makes a compelling case for XRP's potential, but it's crucial to balance that against those inherent risks we talked about.
Yeah.
It really comes down to, your personal financial goals, your risk tolerance, and your overall investment strategy.
Right.
Blindly following any advice, even from the source like the Motley Fool.
Yeah.
Could be a recipe for disaster.
Right. It's about making informed decisions, not just jumping on the bandwagon. So what would you say to someone who's, intrigued by XRP, but also wants to manage their risk? What are some smart strategies they could consider?
One approach is to start small.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of going all in with a large investment, consider dipping your toes in with a smaller amount. That way you can kind of get a feel for the market, see how XRP performs, and gain some experience without risking too much capital.
So kind of like a test drive before buying the whole car?
Exactly. Another strategy is to diversify your portfolio. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, especially when it comes to a volatile asset like crypto.
Right.
Spread your investments across different things: stocks, bonds, other cryptocurrencies. That way, even if XRP doesn't take off as expected, you're not left empty-handed.
Diversification, it's not just a good idea, it's essential. What else should someone keep in mind when, navigating this whole world of XRP?
What's crucial to stay informed? The crypto landscape is constantly changing. So keep up with the latest news. Research what's happening. Pay attention to regulatory changes. Maybe even join some online communities to learn from others.
Right? Knowledge is power, especially in a fast-paced field like this. Anything else?
Don't be afraid to seek professional advice. If you're really unsure about how to approach XRP or any investment, really, talk to a financial advisor. They can help you figure out your risk tolerance, create a personalized plan, and ultimately make smarter decisions.
That's great advice. Sometimes having an expert in your corner can make all the difference. So we've covered the good, the bad, and the strategic. But before we wrap up our deep dive into XRP, I want to zoom out a bit and look at the bigger picture. It's not just about individual investors making money. It's about how XRP could fundamentally change the entire global financial system.
You're absolutely right. This isn't just a technology story. It's a potential economic and social revolution.
Okay, so let's put on our futurist hats for a second. What could a world where XRP succeeds really look like? What would be the impact beyond just investment portfolios?
Imagine a world where sending money across borders is as easy and cheap as sending an email.
Wow.
That would have a huge impact on international trade, family remittances, even things like humanitarian aid.
Yeah, it's not just about, making money. It's about literally changing how the world works. It could empower individuals and businesses, especially in developing countries that often get hit hardest by those high transfer fees.
Exactly. It's about creating a more inclusive and equitable financial system. And that's what I find so compelling about this whole crypto revolution. It challenges the traditional power structures and opens up all sorts of new possibilities.
This is where it gets really interesting. But if XRP or another cryptocurrency really does disrupt the system, what happens to the power that governments and central banks have over money? Wouldn't that threaten their control?
That's the big question. I mean, governments and central banks are used to having a monopoly on currency.
Right.
It's how they control inflation, manage the economy, and maintain some sense of stability.
And crypto, with its decentralized nature, basically throws that whole system into question. So how are they likely to react? Will they try to crush it, embrace it, or find some kind of middle ground?
That's the billion-dollar question.
Yeah.
And there's no easy answer. It probably depends on the country. Some might see crypto as a threat and try to regulate it out of existence.
Right.
Others might see it as an opportunity to innovate and modernize their financial systems.
It's going to be a wild ride watching how this all unfolds. It's like a giant game of chess with governments, banks, tech companies, and everyday people all trying to figure out their next move.
And the outcome of that game will shape the future of finance, and maybe even the world, in ways we can't even fully imagine yet.
Okay, deep divers. We've gone deep on XRP, the potential, the risks, the strategies, and even the bigger picture.
It's been quite the exploration.
But before we wrap up, let's remember that all of this is based on an article from February 13th, 2025. The crypto world moves fast, so things may have changed since then.
That's a crucial point. Past performance is never a guarantee of future results, especially in such a dynamic and unpredictable market.
All right, so we've laid it all out, but there's one final question I want to leave you with, something to really ponder as you continue your XRP journey. Knowing what you now know about XRP and this whole evolving landscape of crypto, how would you approach this decision of whether or not to invest?
That's the perfect question to leave our listener with. What feels right for you? What level of risk are you comfortable with? And how does XRP fit into your overall, financial goals and aspirations? It's all about making informed, personalized decisions.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Deep divers, that's our deep dive on XRP. We hope you found it informative and thought-provoking.
It's been a pleasure diving deep with you.
And remember, knowledge is power. Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep into the topics that matter to you. Until next time, happy investing. It really is mind-blowing to think about how this new technology is shaking things up.
Okay.
You know, the traditional financial world has been doing things the same way for centuries, and now crypto is coming in and saying, like, hey, there might be a better way. It's a classic clash between, the old guard and the disruptors, and like you said, it's going to be fascinating to see who comes out on top. But I think the most exciting part is the potential impact on everyday people. Like, if XRP can really make those cross-border payments fast and cheap, it could open up a world of possibilities.
Yeah, it's like taking down those barriers that have always made it harder for, small businesses and freelancers, individuals to participate in that, global economy.
Exactly. It levels the playing field
Yeah.
and empowers people who have traditionally been excluded or disadvantaged by the old system. And that's what I find so compelling about this whole crypto revolution. It's not just about making money. It's about creating a more inclusive and accessible financial future for everyone.
Okay, I'm officially on board with that vision. But let's bring it back to our listener who's been with us on this deep dive into XRP. They're considering investing, but they've also heard about, these potential risks and challenges. What would be your final words of wisdom for them? I think the most important thing is to approach this decision with a clear head and a long-term perspective. Don't get swept up in the hype or let fear paralyze you. Do your research, understand the technology, assess your own risk tolerance, and make a choice that aligns with your financial goals and your values.
Right. It's about making informed and empowered decisions, not just blindly following, the crowd or any particular piece of advice. This has been an incredible deep dive into the world of XRP.
It really has.
It's been a pleasure exploring all of this with you.
Likewise.
And to all our listeners out there, remember that knowledge is power. So keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the topics that spark your curiosity. Until next time, happy investing.